topic that I don't too often delve into, but I'm going to for this video. Uh, the topic is politics, and I generally have a lot to say about it, but I very often don't share exactly my opinions entirely. Sometimes I do, but not always. And one of the reasons for that, and one of the things I think is important to keep in mind, is because politics is theater. What do I mean by that? I mean, all politics, if you know the expression, if you've ever studied political science, you know the expression, all politics is local, right? Which means political issues are local. Now, local can mean many things. It can mean local to your small town, it can be local to your city, it can be local to your state, it can be local to your country, it can be local to your world. Politics is local in the sense that it affects individuals who care about it and who are involved in it, whether they like to be or not. Little interruption there, a phone call or something. Anyway, so yeah, politics is local, right? And because it affects individuals who participate in it willingly or not, or who are affected by it willingly or not, right? Whether they like to or not. And that doesn't mean it affects everyone necessarily directly, but it kind of does, depending on where you live, what the politics are, right? It may not affect your day-to-day life, right? You may not be directly affected by a variety of issues, but you probably are affected by some other issues. Rules and regulations and laws that probably affect you whether you like it or not, or whether you're aware of it or not. And you have to remember that politics is controlled in the modern day, as it really always has been, but it's just on a grander scale now because there's more money at play. Politics is controlled by the donor owners, especially if you live in a democratic country or a country with some kind of a democracy, right? It could be the American democracy, it could be the British, it could be the Israeli, it could be the French, it could be the German, it could be the Australian, it doesn't matter. Any country where political donors are allowed to contribute not insignificant sums to the political process, either directly to politicians or to their parties, or to a PAC that gives money to them, or to a super PAC that gives money to them, or to a lobby that gives money to them, whatever it might be, right? The political donor owner class, they're called that for a reason because they literally own the politicians. Right? They don't. The more they donate, the more they own them, and they set the agendas of what the politicians will stand for and what they will stand against. And what they tell them increasingly over the decades, like in the last 5 decades, increasingly, and really more, it existed beforehand, but just not on such a grand scale, as I said, because you have a flood of money, like especially in the US, where you have basically infinite money supply available to politicians, because companies can give practically infinite money through a bunch of different loopholes, like PACs and super PACs and corporate donors, and executives can donate and all this kind of stuff, right? So there's no limits to the amount of money really that politicians can raise. If there was a limit, then you you wouldn't have billions of dollars being the cost of running a presidential campaign in the US. But it is billions of dollars, which is an insanely huge amount of money, right? And not just because the dollar's purchasing power has decreased over the years. It's an insane amount of money that has been actively enabled by getting rid of the rules and regulations that used to block that kind of thing. And people who donate a lot of money will say, well, it's just my freedom of expression. I'm just, giving money to who I support, and it's my freedom of speech. Okay, well, if Joe Q. Public is expressing his freedom of speech, and he's actually a constituent of a politician who takes money from a donor owner who doesn't even live in that politician's district or state or country, but the politician does what the bigger donor says and not what his actual constituent says, Houston, we have a problem. But that's the state of politics. And whether you like it or not, that's why I stand firm on this principle. And I know some of you will disagree with me on this, and that's fine. To me, all politicians, with no exceptions, all politicians are liars, scoundrels, and thieves. And I mean, there's no exception to that. Hold on. Anyway, folks, my time with this video has come to an end, albeit abruptly. I'll catch you all later. Peace.